A few months ago, I reviewed a game from developer Just Leak called Shiplord. It was a pretty unique game where you control the ship and you actually had to dodge enemies instead of actually attacking them. And while the concept was cool, it got a bit boring pretty fast, just wishing that you could actually fire and attack your enemies. Well, they are back with a new game using the same engine as Shiplord called Asteroid Bounty Hunter. And this time around, we can actually not only destroy the asteroids, but destroy other enemies as well. In the game, you're playing as John, who is an asteroid bounty hunter, basically paid to go and destroy small clusters of asteroids before they take out ships or run into various planets. And along the way, not only are you taking out these asteroids for money, other people get in your way that have issues with what you're doing or just want to take you out overall. You're doing this all with the power of your ship, the Karma, or at least the AI is Karma. It kinda is explained at the very beginning of the game, and there's actually some cutscenes that play out, unlike in Shiplord, where it was basically just some spoken dialogue with a picture of the character. They actually went through and created cutscenes, basically still images that actually are a little bit animated along with dialogue at the bottom, but it's definitely an upgrade from the previous game. The game features 25 levels, with 20 main stages and then 5 boss encounters. After a group of 4 main stages, you'll then battle a boss, very similar to how it was structured in Shiplord. During the normal stages, you're going to be destroying a certain number of asteroids, and once you reach that amount, you move on to the next level. And every level in the game increases the amount of asteroids that you have to destroy in order to advance. To do so, you're going to be using one of 4 different weapons, and you can mix and match which ones you want to do, use them at any time, and there's cooldown periods for all but the main gun. You basically have your main cannon fire that you can either hold down or mash the button, though only a limited number of bullets can be on screen at one time, so if you fire from the far left and it misses everything, you may have to wait a second or two for it to completely go off screen in order to fire again, which may leave you vulnerable. You then have this spinning tri-shot that will go around and hit anything that's in its path, but once it collides, it ends up disappearing, and then the other pieces of it that weren't destroyed yet just keep going till they either go off screen or run into other asteroids. You have the Death Ray, which is the most valuable of the weapons by far. This is just a straight, giant laser, consistent shot, and it mows down asteroids and bosses and anything in your path, especially once you level it up. And then there's the ultimate Final Blast. Basically, this giant space-like eagle appears and goes into the center of a screen where a black hole, and then missiles just keep launching out of the black hole for a set number of time. Now, the missiles coming out, they run into something, they are destroyed, so it can be very useful or it can just kind of miss. It all depends on where the enemies currently are on screen once those missiles start flying outwards. Now, like the previous Shiplord game, you can upgrade and level up your ship. You not only get ship upgrades that allow you to kind of increase your shield or get rid of the cooldown period between weapon uses, or you can actually upgrade your shields individually, how long it takes to recharge your health in the game, as well as upgrading all your individual sub-weapons, increasing the amount of damage that they end up dealing to the asteroids and various enemies. You gain experience in the game by destroying asteroids, and increasing the difficulty from easy, medium, or hard. Not only does things get tougher, but thankfully you're rewarded with more experience, though I would recommend playing at least some levels on easy to get some experience and level up some of your moves, then go back and play the earlier levels on the harder difficulties if you want to, because you're definitely going to need the upgrades in order to tangle the hard difficulty, especially once you get a little bit farther into the game. Besides leveling up and upgrading your weapons and your ship, you can also unlock a few extra ships as well that have increased default stats, so it's definitely worth unlocking them and then making sure that you go back and actually select the new ones once you unlock them, because the increased stats will definitely help out. Like any good shoot 'em up, one of the best parts about the game is the boss encounters. Figuring out the patterns and being able to dodge in and out in order to get your ship in just that sweet spot in order to deliver hits to the bosses is definitely satisfying, and one of, if not the funnest part about the game. The bosses have a decent variety to them as well. They're not just all doing the same exact pattern, though there are some similarities with some of the way that the bosses act. One of the most annoying for sure is when you have a boss that uses these black holes that move along the screen. If you run into the black hole, you're instantly dead, but also the black holes grow in size until you shoot them, as well as they absorb your shots, so you can't fire through the black holes. Those bosses are definitely challenging, and if you really want to rev up that difficulty, play the bosses on the hard difficulty, because they are definitely going to give you a run for the money. The graphical assets in the game all look nice. The ship, the asteroids, the bosses, and especially the backgrounds. They all look really nice. I like the way the whole planets and space themes work, and they're never too distracting, making my eyes wander away from my ship or the enemies that I'm ending up battling in particular stages. One of the things I loved about the game the most was its soundtrack. It's an EDM licensed soundtrack. They got music from SoundCloud, and all the links to the Common Core license and SoundClouds are available in the credits of the game. And in the upper left corner, they show the artist and the track name for each of the songs as they're playing. You can actually skip songs while playing through the game. If you're a fan of EDM like I am, I think you're definitely going to be finding some new artists maybe here, or just some really good tracks to listen to. And it's a few different styles of EDM, not just one. So you have some ambient stuff, you're going to have some house and some trap as well. Even at the most monotonous times in the game, that soundtrack definitely kept me going for sure. Overall, I definitely enjoyed Asteroid Bounty Hunter more so than Shiplord from a few months ago. The added addition of being able to fire at enemies is a huge plus, making the game, even at its most boring, more enjoyable because at least I was able to take out enemies. There are some cool weapons, I definitely enjoyed the bosses, and the soundtrack was fantastic, at least in my opinion it was. So in the end, I'm going to be giving Asteroid Bounty Hunter a 6 out of 10. I just wish there was a little bit more to the overall gameplay, and I would have definitely given it a bit of a higher score. Though this was another one of those games I was given in order to do a review, so I always have to preface that. Now, the game is $7.99 available on Steam, which I think may be steep for a few people, though it does include Steam achievements and Steam trading cards if you're into that whole thing. And from the overall achievement list, it's relatively easy to get 100% in the game. But anyway guys, that will wrap up this review of Asteroid Bounty Hunter for PC. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.